Welcome to This Explainer! Today, we're pulling back the heavy velvet curtains of the 1800s to investigate a true historical crime scene. We're going to dive right into a bizarre, frankly terrifying story where high society fashion collides with highly lethal chemistry. Part 1. The Silent Victorian Killer. You know, when we think of the Victorian era, we typically picture opulent furniture, grand ball gowns, and this deep, vibrant elegance. It was a time of immense style. But beneath all that refinement, this era of breathtaking beauty was harboring a lethal threat right in its very living rooms. And the crazy part? It wasn't some shadowy assassin creeping through the London fog. It was something people were enthusiastically bringing into their own homes. We're talking about Scheele's green. This became, without a doubt, the absolute most fashionable color of the 19th century. Found in the elegant parlors of the rich and the simple nurseries of the poor alike, this glowing color was quite literally a toxic weapon masquerading as high fashion. So, how on earth did something so dangerous become so incredibly popular? Part 2. The Chemistry of Chic. To understand how this deadly trend even became possible, we've got to look at the science. It all started in a laboratory, driven by this massive desire for a better, brighter color. The journey of this pigment started as a revolutionary chemical discovery back in 1775 by a chemist named Carl Wilhelm Scheele. See, before his discovery, green dyes were notoriously dull and they faded incredibly quickly. Scheele found a way to create a green so bright it practically seemed to glow. But as you'll see, that glow came with a terrible cost. The secret is literally right here in the chemistry. By blending copper with highly toxic arsenic trioxide, he created that seemingly magical, vibrant hue. And it was an instant hit. The vividness was just unprecedented, and soon manufacturers simply couldn't get enough of this miracle pigment. The demand completely exploded. By the mid-1800s, Britain alone was turning out a staggering 700 tons of this arsenic-based green every single year. I mean, to put that into perspective, that is a massive industrial scale for a known poison. And it wasn't just painted on the walls either. It was absolutely everywhere. It was used to dye artificial flowers pinned to women's hats. It tinted the paper used to wrap the candy people ate. Yes, literally their candy wrappers. It was even coating the toys that children played with. Entire lives were just wrapped in this toxic emerald embrace. Part 3. A toxic fashion statement. To really grasp the deeply personal danger of this trend, we need to look straight into the wardrobes of the Victorian elite. Think about this number for a second. A single highly fashionable ball gown from this era could be dusted with up to 900 grains of pure arsenic just to achieve that perfect shimmering green aesthetic. Let's put that in perspective. A mere 2 grains of arsenic is considered a lethal dose for a human being. 2! So the women wearing these elite dresses at high society dances were literally walking toxic hazards, shedding microscopic, deadly dust with every single step and twirl they took. Part 4. The Lethal Wallpaper. The true horror, though, wasn't just what they wore to the grand balls. It was what was happening to the very air inside their homes, where they thought they were the safest. Here's how the trap was sprung. In the drafty, humid homes of the 1800s, the walls inevitably got damp. When that moisture mixed with the wallpaper paste and the arsenic pigment, it triggered a deadly chemical reaction. It released silent, completely invisible bubbles of a highly toxic substance called trimethylarsine gas right into their living spaces. The results were absolutely tragic. Entire families would go to sleep in a freshly decorated, beautiful green room and simply never wake up. Doctors at the time were completely baffled. They used these vague diagnostic terms like failing to thrive or lingering illness, entirely unaware that the very air in these homes had been poisoned by the decor. It actually took decades of mysterious tragedies before the pieces were finally put together. Panic finally erupted in 1862 when a doctor named Matthias Schleiden officially linked these mysterious, sudden deaths directly to the beautiful green rooms. The headlines hit, and suddenly the public was terrified of their own walls. And this terror reached the absolute top of society. Queen Victoria herself reportedly had a frantic reaction, ordering all the vibrant green wallpaper to be immediately stripped from Buckingham Palace after a visiting dignitary fell suddenly ill while staying in one of the guest rooms. I mean, if the Queen wasn't safe, Literally no one was.
Part 5. A Poisonous Legacy.
Ending this deadly craze was a massive uphill battle. You'd think the discovery of toxic gas would instantly shut down production, right? Well, no. Industry manufacturers fought back incredibly hard. To protect their massive profits, they confidently claimed the arsenic pigment was perfectly safe, joking that it wouldn't hurt anyone unless they literally ate the wallpaper off the walls. They completely ignored the whole invisible gas problem. Eventually, as public pressure mounted and safer alternatives were developed, the emerald green craze thankfully died out. But here is what's truly wild. The threat remains incredibly real today. Many of these historically decorated homes still exist. Modern historians and museum curators literally have to gear up with protective masks and gloves just to handle 19th century green books, fabrics, and artifacts. So, the past is undeniably beautiful, but man, it is often dangerous. The crucial point to remember from this explainer is that history's most stunning visual trends can sometimes be its most deadly hidden traps. That gorgeous vintage dress sitting in a museum case, it's not just a fashion statement from a bygone era. It is quite literally a preserved weapon. Before we wrap up our analysis of this fascinating and super dark slice of history, I want to turn it over to you and leave you with a question to think about. What is the deadliest trend you've ever heard of? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the beauty of the past.